Thanks, Kara. All right, we're going to go ahead and start it. I know we've got people who are still joining. They usually do for the first couple minutes as everyone is grabbing their lunch or just finishing up a meeting. So I want to welcome you all. My name is Maya Lampin, and I'm the current president of the Washington chapter of NIGP. For those of you who are from outside the state, we want to welcome you to our Lunch and Learn series. This is the first one of 2023. We're excited. Yeah. And we're excited that Brooke is joining us. Brooke Smith is from Utah, the Utah chapter, and she's going to chat today with us about modernizing public procurement and an intro to AI integration, which is really, really germane. Brooke, we actually chatted about this a little bit at our fall conference. And so this is very, very timely. You were already on the books for this. And so we tried to use that as our, join us in 2023. So we're going to go ahead and get some housekeeping stuff done before I fully introduce you. So for those of you who are in the Washington chapter, well, for everyone actually, mute yourself, please, and so that everyone can enjoy the presentation. For those of you who are wanting credit, we do need your full name, and that's the only way we can make sure that you get credit for attending. For those of you who are Teams folks, just go ahead and right click on your video and choose rename. It should be there. If you have questions, you can throw them into chat for us. So Brooke, we had kind of chatted. Did you want questions as they come, have people just drop them into chat and then have Kara and Connie or I interrupt you? Or do you want to kind of do your presentation and then thinking it might answer a lot of the questions and then take the questions at the end? How do you want to handle that?
Either way works for me, but if there's a question that comes in and I'm on that screen, feel free to interrupt.
Okay, perfect. So folks, drop it into chat and we'll take care of that. We'll make sure that we get those asked. And then we do have some events coming up here. So we have some national events, the Mastermind series. Those are really great. So if you are looking for that, you can go to the the NIGP website. But for those of you who are Washington members, we do have our Emerging Professionals Roundtable coming up on the 11th. And then we have a lot of changes on Public Works. If you haven't heard about them, you need to hear about them. And so MRSC is putting on a whole host of classes. The next one is in Lacey. And I think that there is still some room in that one. The one in Everett on the 24th is sold out. Just giving you a heads up. We also would love for you to be able to join us on January 18th, either virtually or down in Olympia for our annual business meeting. We have Nathan Dawson from South Carolina joining us, and we're going to be talking about contract administration as well as requirements gathering for IT solicitations, which can be converted to most. So please, please, please join us for that. Go ahead and register on our website. And then our next Lunch and Learn will be February 7th, and that will be all about cooperative purchasing. So you'll be hearing from some of our folks on that, which is going to be fantastic too. So with that said, I'd like to introduce Brooke Smith. Brooke is she's got so many hats she wears for her entity, but she has been building relationships across the United States and has been such a driving force in the integration of ChatGPT and AI in the public sector. We're really excited, Brooke, that you're going to join us here and chat with that. I don't know if you want me to go through your full bio or if you just want to jump right in and
we can
kind of go through that. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. I think we're going to give you the screen. We're going to take ours down and let you go ahead and share. And so I know we've got quite a few folks. So for those of you who just joined us, we have Brooke Smith from Utah with us, and she actually presented a variation of this at the forum. And then I'll let you go ahead maybe and talk about when you're at the end. I'm assuming you'll talk about the 24th, the integration of AI as well.
Yeah.
The headliner.
Yep, I have that built into the discussion, but I do just want to start off by saying thank you for having me. Can you see my screen? Everything's good? Okay. So my name is Brooke Smith. I am a Utah resident and in the Utah chapter. I'm on the Finance Council for NIGP, and I was on the Pipeline Placement Committee. I termed off on that last June, and I'm the past president of the Utah chapter. Really quick, I did want to say I want to make this a little bit interactive. So while you're eating lunch, and listening. I hope you'll participate a little bit if you can. There'll be a couple questions they'll have you respond either by using the chat feature or the icons that they can have. But first off, I just wanted to say, what if I told you that you could revolutionize procurement processes, become more efficient, and mitigate the risk of your agencies? Doesn't that sound pretty great? Well, with the power of AI, it's possible. For the next 45 minutes, I'm going to tell you everything I know about AI. And then how I have this broken up is in three parts. So first off, it's going to be what is AI for those that are newly into AI or don't understand it. We'll briefly go over that. Then I'm going to go over why it matters and why it's important that you know what AI is, and then things you should know if you or your agency are thinking about using AI. So to begin with, I did want to touch on the NIGP Harnessing AI in Public Procurement. On January 24th, we are doing a virtual event. There's myself and 3 other people that are going to talk about AI. What I'm presenting here today is a portion of that. It's about 10%. I have a few slides that will be duplicated. They'll be a little bit set up a little bit differently on NIGPs because they have a specific format we have to follow. But if you are interested in learning more about AI and really like diving deep, this is a class to go to. So make sure you sign up for that if you want. I believe that we've already have over 100 participants for that class, and we're going to get more as we get closer to the event. With that said, you guys are my guinea pigs, so I'm practicing on you. If you have any constructive feedback for me, and if I'm presenting on a slide and I'm not explaining it well, please take a screenshot of that and send it to me and give me your constructive feedback. I'd love to make my NIGP presentation even better. So help me out with that.
And Brooke,
Yeah.
while you're catching a breath there, I just wanted, so this is an hour and then, but it's 4 hours for the other. So this is
Yes.
kind of like that tease in the intro, and
Yeah.
you'll deep dive into the next section too there. Yeah.
Yes,
And then
absolutely.
yeah, and if you feel like you're losing your voice, go ahead and take a minute. I know you're recovering and we don't want to tax you
Yep.
too much. Yes.
Yep.
So thank you. For those of you,
Yeah.
she's recovering from some respiratory challenges.
Yes.
So.
Okay, so the first thing I want to do for audience participation, is I want you to use your reactions feature and give me a reaction. There's 5 different features or 5 different places where you could fall into. The overwhelmed, I have no clue. The dabbler, I've tried it, and that's about it. The aspiring integrator is understanding the value but struggling to start. The actual integrator, integrating a few things, hungry for more information. And the captain know-it-all, self-appointed AI expert. So if you would give me your reactions, I'd love to see where you guys all fall. Let me see. Okay, couple smiley faces. Thumbs up. Awesome. I love that there's some random ones in there. I'll take the heart emojis and the. Okay, perfect. Aaron, that's a great emoji. Let's see. Okay, so I've got a little bit of everything. My goal for you today is to have each one of you walk away with something new and some sort of information that can help you and your agency out. So hopefully I can meet that goal. Before we talk about like what AI is, I think we need to go over a brief synopsis of what like the evolution of technology. So there's a lot of things that have happened, but there's 3 main things I want you to focus on. Is back in the 80s and like late 70s, it was really data driven. This is where we had our work computers. It was doing Excel sheets, accounting, basic stuff. In the 2000s and 2010-ish, we started to see a shift into personal data, where we had their smartphones and the cloud computing really started to take off. And now we're in our third revolution of generating like AI information. So I think it's important to understand this type of information to know where we're going, because it's going to keep on evolving as we keep on going. So what is AI? That's the $1,000,000 question here. To understand artificial intelligence, it is the simulation of human intelligence in a machine that are programmed to think and learn like humans. So when you hear ChatGPT, the GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Generative means it is generating content. When you go to Google and you search like an RFP for mural painting, it will give you back sites that you can go to and pull information from and do your own research. ChatGPT is going to those same sites, pulling out information, is extracting data in a mathematical configuration, if you can believe that or not. Extracting data, compiling it into a sentence-like structure or a human way to understand it in a human way. So it's writing out script for you to read instead of having you go to the sites and reading whole articles on that. The pre-trained is basically anything that has been on the internet since 1993-ish is in its memory bank. It's super smart and can recall information very quickly. And then the transformer is how it's transcribing that information into human-like intelligence, so you learn it like a human. In my NIGP series, I'm going to talk about the transformer. If we have enough time, I'll talk about the transformer. It's very cool to learn about. And I've got a couple of fun slides that will help explain that a little bit more. I totally geek out on it, but it's a lot of fun. I just wanted to remind you too that artificial assistance has already been woven into many aspects of our daily lives. And if you want and can, put in the chat box, like what other artificial tools are you utilizing that may not be represented here? I just wanted to go over a few of them, like the navigation systems. When back in the day when I was in college, we would do MapQuest and we'd have to print it out. And if we missed our exit going to California, we were screwed. Alexis, I've got Siri or Alexis here. Every morning when I get wake up, I say, "Hey Alexis, play me some music," and she responds back and saying, "Here's something I think you'll like." The predictive text on cell phones, yeah, when you're writing out a text message is awesome. And spell checkers. Oh, and then I just wanted to hit really quick on this traffic signal. Yeah, your car. The traffic signals back in the day when I was learning to drive, if you were out late, the traffic signals would stay red for like 5 minutes. And so I remember getting in trouble for missing my curfew because I would not run a red light. And we'd have to sit there and wait for these red lights to get past. But now it can motion or sense your motion and see your headlights, and it will change automatically for you. You no longer have those fun excuses back in the day. So yeah, Waze is great when you're traveling. So we're already integrating a lot of artificial assistance in our lives, and this is another way to do that. Basically, this is for the newbies out there. This is a basic layout of ChatGPT. I did just update this right before the meeting, so some of these don't really line up, but when you go to ChatGPT, you have this screen. This right here is a history of your chats. This is your main screen or your main pane with how it can help you today. Down right here, it has examples of things that it can do for you. And then right here is the send button, and this is where you put your prompt or your request of what you want to do. And then down here is your account button, and right above it is the upgrade tool. So pay attention to those because we'll go over that in the next slide. When you're in there, it does give you examples of what it can do and can't do. One is you can ask it questions, help you learn, write code, brainstorm together, much more. It does remind you don't share sensitive information. And then it does remind you to do your fact checking as well. There's a couple of different ones you can use. ChatGPT 3.5 is free. This is the version that I use. I I don't pay for a version yet. ChatGPT 4 is $20 per month. Everyone that I've talked to that has gone to ChatGPT 4 will never go back to ChatGPT 3.5. They love it. They think it's way advanced from what we have in the free version. So if your agency will pay for it, I think it's worth it to get the paid version of it. Here's an example of a prompt that you can put in, and I just say, hey, write in 30 words what a purchasing agent is, and then it will spit out this answer in a couple seconds. Okay. And then the other cool feature that you may not know about is custom instructions. Custom instructions, if you hit your name when you're logged in, and if you are a user of AI and your agency lets you, log in and try these things, because I'm going to have you generate some questions to AI later on in the presentation. But if you hit your name, it will pop up a custom instruction, and you can go in there and fine tune who you are and how you want ChatGPT to respond. So what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? You can say, hey, I'm a purchasing agent from X, Y, and Z. My city has 500,000 people in it. Like, you can tell it who you are, and it will give you results based on that market. You do have to use this with caution, because if you are asking it, if you are telling it you're a procurement person, and then you're asking it something related to say like city recorder or attorneys or something, it will still answer like a procurement agent. So you can turn it on and turn it off, but just pay attention to that. And then how you want it to respond. This is a great solution for, hey, I need you to be professional, informative, and neutral, and give me the best results. Another cool thing is on the bottom right-hand side of your ChatGPT page is this question mark. If you hit that, you can see the help and FAQs, which is very informative, the release notes, and the terms and policies. So when your agencies freak out about using AI, you can go straight to the source and get some real examples and information about what's happening in AI right then. Another thing is optimizing prompt engineering. So when you are writing a prompt, if you've practiced in AI and you're getting responses back that are lackluster or don't really fit the needs that you're trying to do, it's because your prompt is wrong. You can go in and give it a basic prompt. Like for me as a city recorder, when I'm summarizing meeting minutes and transcripts, I could say, hey, summarize this meeting, this transcript, and it will give me a basic summary. Or I can say, hey, act like a city recorder. I'm going to give you this information. I want you to summarize it in this type of detail, gender neutral, take out the biases, and I feed it all this content of how I want it to respond because it's acting like me, and then it does a much better job at summarizing. So when you're giving a prompt, better prompts demonstrate a deeper understanding, and AI knows how to respond to that. So if the basics of prompt engineering, and this is a term you'll start to see maybe popping up on your social feeds and everything, or if you're on TikTok, start searching prompt engineering. But the basic structure is you're gonna give it a role. Like, I want you to act like a procurement agent. I want you to act like a supervisor. I want you to act like a manager. I'm gonna have you create an RFP or a bid or a letter of recommendation. I want this letter of recommendation in a Word format, 12 font, and here's the information that I want to be highlighted in this letter of recommendation for this employee. So as you're prompting the AI, make sure you're giving it the information it needs so it knows how to respond. Here's an example of a procurement one that I've used in actually writing an RFP. Back about it was probably more like 7 months ago, we were moving to a new city hall. I had a city employee, my purchasing agent had been in a serious car accident and was missing, she missed like 2 months of work. So I was doing her job, we were moving, I was doing my job. And my mayor came down and said, hey, we are moving to this new city hall. We have this grand plaza. Oh my gosh, my light just went off. Hold on. Let me
Is that your prompt to
Fun
move, Brooke?
technology. That another technology that we're using and don't even realize. I guess I didn't move around enough. But he said, okay, we have this plaza. We want to have this 70-foot tree and 4 20-foot trees surrounding it. And sorry, the picture's a little small, but and we've got a tight deadline. We've already talked to a guy. It's going to cost us near this much. And if we need to do it, we need to have it signed by like the end of the month. I had like 25 days to write a new RFP and to publish it and to get responses back. And as a purchasing person, I search, I'm actually a training, oh, please turn my back. Oh, that's funny. As a purchasing person, like I researched it on Google. I'm like, who does an RFP for Christmas tree lights that are 7 feet tall? No one. Like Google didn't even have a response back. And so I took my scope of work, put it in ChatGPT. It wrote out a fabulous RFP for me. I fine-tuned it a little bit. I took it to my executives the next night because I was doing 12-hour days. I was doing this at home on my work computer, on my home computer, and said, hey, can we use this? And we fine-tuned it a little bit more. And then we published it the next day. I had it posted for 7 days. We had a review of like 4 or 5 different people that responded to our RFP. And we met our deadline, like the last hour, but we met the deadline. Had I not had ChatGPT, there's no way we would have that Christmas tree plaza, light or plaza up this year, just because of the intricacies of writing an RFP from scratch. So it's possible. In hindsight, when I look back at the RFP, I'm like, oh, that's very AI generated. And it's like there's some grandiose words that don't sound like me. I think I would have changed those later on, but I just didn't have the time frame to do it or the capacity. So it's possible. Okay, sorry, my nose is running. Okay, so why AI matters in public procurement. I have these 2 percentages up here, but basically the response is employees that use AI are 25% faster and produce 40% better quality. So as we're going through and learning about AI, I'm going to give you a lot of facts and figures in this next section, but the impact of AI is huge. So it's important to know what's happening. This was, I follow a lot of AI newsletters from people that are experts on AI. And this was one that came out just yesterday. But he said AI was going to become an essential skill for job seekers and employers rush to adopt AI. Morgan Stanley predicts that AI will affect 40% of the workforce in the next 3 years. Another Amazon study found that 75% of employers looking for AI qualified talent have been having trouble finding candidates. And research firms Forrester expects 60% of the workers will use their own AI platforms in their jobs in the next task or jobs and task in 2024. And part of the NIGP program that we're doing is talking about using our own AI platforms and building something internally that we can use to promote purchasing and procurement. ChatGPT will appear as frequently as Excel on resumes for the most white-collar jobs. So if you know AI and are familiar with it and familiar and confident enough in prompt engineering, go ahead and put that on your resume if you need to. It's a great way to enhance your skill sets and show that you're a continual learner. Okay, and then 75% of surveyed companies will adopt AI technologies by 2027. That was during the AWS reInvent conference in Las Vegas this last couple weeks ago. And just another efficiency gains. This is from Grammarly. 60% have reduced editing time, 52% reduced in spending time communicating, and 71% of improving compliance of company brands. So when you're talking about company brands, if you use your custom instructions on your main platform and say, okay, here is like my brand for Murray City. This is what we're trying to communicate. When you're getting your responses back through AI, it's being responsive to your brand or your story for your agency. And then reduce time communicating. Back when, again, when everything was happening with my new city hall and moving and people being off of work, we had an RFP that went completely, or it was bid, excuse me, that went completely off the rails. And we had a bid opening, and we had one vendor that screwed up where he delivered his submittal, and there was some screw ups on our end, and there was a lot of screw ups on his end. And we got to the bid opening, and we got into I didn't get into a huge fight with the company that screwed up, but there was another vendor there that said, hey, if you accept their bid, I'm going to protest. And we got into these heated arguments. I've never been in such a heated argument before, but there was a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration. It was very heated. So after everything like died down, I came back to my office and I wrote everything down, like what happened, like all the facts. I did a factual basis and said, this is what happened. I immediately pulled my attorneys in. I'm like, hey, this guy's threatening protest. This guy's threatening protest. We're stuck in the middle. We're screwed either way. Like, where do we do? And he said, let's write him a letter and send it off and explain what our decision was. So I put everything into ChatGPT. I did my factual basis in ChatGPT saying, help me write a letter, a professional letter, take out my anger, take out my pissiness, and write it more professionally for me. And in 5 minutes after I'd fine-tuned it, sent it to our attorneys, I sent it to one of the my other employees, we fine-tuned it again, and I had a letter that I could send out in minutes versus sending a letter like that would have taken me days to try to really sit down and figure out what was important and how to write it. So it helps you be more efficient and proficient in that manner. Another thing is AI is super smart. There's some claims that AI claims it can be up to 90% of humans on the SAT. Another one, it can do top marks in law, medical, and open AI claims. And I just like to put out my my theory is why AI is not 100% is because there's some 10% of poorly written test questions. If you take tests and you're like, why did I miss this question? I really think it's because there's humans writing horrible test questions, but that's just my theory. But it's important to have that creativity and analytical skills to be able to pull that information off of AI and bring it to your agency and for what you do. And it's just a reminder that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but you do need to know how to operate or like how to pull that information out of AI. And those are things I think that procurement people can do very well because of the skill sets that we have. So keep that in mind. Another thing, and I'd like to have this go into the chat as well, but how many times was ChatGPT visited in the last month over the last year? So either put the time, how many times you think it was visited per month, or how many times you think it's been visited per year in the chat, if you can. 1 million times, 1 million per month, 10 million per month. Those are great. Responses, 1 billion. Oh, now we're getting up there. Okay, well, I'll give you the answer. It is 1 billion or 1.5 billion visits per month, totaling almost 15 billion visits this last year. And then in comparison, Google was visited 242 million times. And I believe that's per month. So if you're not using AI, everyone everyone else is. So we've got to be able to, one, know what it is, and then two, how to work it, and then three, how to be prepared for other people using it on you or your agency. Oh, did someone get it right? Oh, that's good. Yes, good job. So another interesting tidbit is when these companies were launched, it took them like Uber took 70 months to reach 100,000 or 100 million users. AI, it took 2 months for them to reach the 100 million user mark. It was launched last November, November 30th, 2022. And then by the end of June or January, there were over 100 million users. And if you were new using AI back then, you would see like some lag time. It would kick you off when it was busy. So a lot of times when I was first learning this, I was at home at like 8 o'clock at night on my computer because that's the only time it would let me in. You don't see that very often anymore, but it is possible that there's a little bit of lag time when they're doing upgrades and stuff. So the question I have here then, like since we have so many users and so many people are testing out, do we need a policy or a clause in our RFPs for AI disclosures when we get responses back? That's something I think we all need to start grappling about and figuring out what information we need to do to protect ourselves using AI and having other people use AI as well. I think we'll address that a little bit in the NIGP course as well. So with that said, I don't know if many of you, I've heard in the past that a lot of people say, hey, I've used this at home. My agency won't let me use it. If that's the case, I'm assuming that's the case here, but correct me if I'm wrong, are agencies letting you use AI at where you work? Or are you more experimenting at home? Don't have a policy, but do you use it for work? Not ChatGPT. They're very nervous. No policy, but they're starting to use it. Yeah. Not allowed at work yet. Okay, so here I've got a couple things for both people that either their agencies are letting them use it, which is great. We'll talk about policy making a little bit, or if your agencies are, I've got some information you could probably share with them that will help them feel more confident and comfortable using it in the future. So I broke it up into 3 things: educate, experiment, and evaluate. So education. First off, I think it would be important for you to read this, but also share it with your executives. AI is very aware of some of the catastrophic risk that could happen. They have prepared a living document called the Preparedness Framework, and this is a process to help track, evaluate, forecast, and protect against catastrophic risk. This was released on December 18th. And they have 5 things that they are covering. And I'd love to see if you guys have any input about what you think the risks are for using AI in the chat, if you wouldn't mind. If you know of any. Copyright infringement. Oh, plagiarism. Yeah. Yep. Bias, racism. Cost saving and data for organization. Do you know if there's any tangible cost saving information? That's a good question. I don't have anything specific other than what I reported for time saving measures. But if you research it, there'll be people that will be talking about the time saving measures on it. So here's the 5 thing. Well, I'm going to show you 4 and then we'll talk about the 5th one, but here's the 5 thing that AI is concerned about. One is cybersecurity. That's a medium threat level, and they go into more detail in the living document. But the other one is chemical, biological, radiological, neutral. That's a low threat. Persuasion is a medium threat level. I think we're going to see a lot of that through the elections. That's what one of the major concerns are. And then model autonomy, where we basically get a machine that's smarter than all of us and takes over the world. The 5th one is unknown unknowns, and that's what it's titled. It's just basically saying, what do we not know is going to happen by using AI? And they're keeping track of that. It's a low threat level right now, but they're basically trying to predict the future and how AI is going to integrate with everyone who starts to use it. Oh, and then with cybersecurity, I did want to hit, you're going to start seeing the spam emails that you get better and sound more correct. I've already started receiving emails that used to have spelling check, like spelling things wrong and everything like that. They sound very AI generated, and it will basically start out with saying, hey, I hope you're having a good day. By the way, your social security number is no longer active. Click here to blah, blah, blah. You'll start to see those emails come through because now the fraudsters are learning using AI to write their spam letters now. So pay attention to your emails. If it seems too good to be true, it is. And then go to this website. If you need to log in, don't click any links. That's my little warning for you there. Experiment. For those that are new to AI, I want you to start with small pilot projects. And basically form a relationship with AI and learn from it because it's constantly changing. One day you'll get a great response back and the next day it will be like so. So if you don't get a good response, work on your prompt and write back. That's the other cool thing about AI is you can write back and say, hey, you forgot about this. And AI will be like, oh, I'm sorry. Let me integrate this into my message now. If you have AI and can use it, I would love it if you would take, open it up, either ChatGPT or another AI, and ask it to write you in 30 words or less an inspirational affirmation for public procurement, and then put that in the chat. I would love to see the responses back and see the differences in what's being presented, like how it responds, because AI should produce different responses for each one of you, even though we're giving it the same prompt. So if you could do that, that would be amazing. Okay, I'm an architect of value, forging ethical participation and shaping prosperity through strategic sources. Oops, there it goes. And fair contracts. I empower my organization to thrive with integrity and efficiency. That's a great one. And then, oh, yep, we're getting loaded. I love that everyone's person. Well, and then at the same time, if you can't use AI or don't use AI, maybe sit down and write like 30 words or less. What is it at procurement? Like an affirmation for a procurement professional. It's taking a little bit longer time, but all of a sudden in less than 30 seconds, we have 5 or 6 different chat responses that are completely different, but still relevant to the request. So, use that with your, like, keep that in mind that if you don't like a response, you can ask it to reprompt again, or you can write a better prompt in there. I did want to put this in here. Here's some challenges for you for those that are practicing using AI in procurement. Yeah, and feel free to keep on adding to the chat because that's fascinating to me. But there's a couple different things you can do. And the couple things that I've done to learn more about AI is I took a scope that we'd already been doing. It was a cut and paste. We just changed the years and we changed the years and post it. And I took that scope of work and I said, you know what, before I post or push publish, what would AI do in this scenario? So I took that scope of work, put it in there and asked it to write me the same thing. And then I did a comparison. And what happened was ChatGPT produced nearly an identical response. And then, but it had like 3 or 4 sentences in there that reduced my risk, made it more clear about what was my end goal, and gave me some added like power to really communicate with my vendor what we were looking for. I took those 4 sentences, plugged them into mine, push publish, and we were off running. Could I have found those 4 sentences by researching it? Probably, but it would have taken me days or months to try to find that information. So that having that grasp of knowledge right at my fingertips is really fun. So as you're doing RFPs and bids and stuff, take those scopes of work, see where your gaps of coverages are, see if AI writes a better one or if it doesn't write a better one, but really compare and contrast what you do professionally with what AI can do. Another one is maybe look at RFP through the lens of a supplier. So one thing I hate is doing addendums. If I don't have an RFP that's written really well and I have to do like 3 or 4 addendums, like I know I screwed it up at the very beginning and I should have been smarter to catch those things. So now you can take RFPs and say, and put them in AI and say, hey, look at this from a supplier's perspective and tell me if I need to clarify anything or get some, change my scope of work. Where are my gaps? How do I mitigate my risk? And then compare and contrast that and build a better RFP from the very get-go and make it easier for your end users and your suppliers to know what you're trying to accomplish. So those are some really two great tools that may help you convince your agencies to use AI. And let's see. And then when you are, when you are evaluating, become a professional evaluator. Like you've got to be able to compare and contrast what AI has produced, what you've produced. Is AI harmful? Is it helpful? And help you really figure out what it's doing for you. During the evaluation, I do have to hit on some of these things that AI is famous for. And this is my little acronym that I tried. I had AI help me write it. But AI does have biases in it. Not everything on the internet is 100% factual. The good thing about procurement, though, is what is out there for procurement doesn't have as many biases, I think, as other things do. I think we share RFPs and they're legit good RFPs, so it pulls a lot of great knowledge. There's not a lot of bad data out there for that. I do want to hit on AI drift. If you ask AI to do something one time and it gives a great response back, great. If you ask it the same question, but you tweak it just a little bit, and you repeat that question again and again, like for me, I ask it to summarize a bunch of information all the time, it will start to think that the summary that they're giving is wrong. And it will start to go off on a tangent or drift away from what you're trying to look for, even though what you originally, like the first response was the best response. So watch out for that drift. Hallucinations is another one that you really want to look at. Is sometimes it doesn't understand the question that you are asking it, and it will try to think of what you want to hear and give you completely false information. So watch out for that hallucination. And then another one I really wanted to hit on is we call it GRAMA here in Utah. It's Government Records Access Management Act, but basically your FOIA, so your GRAMA requests. There are no case studies or ruling on your history of AI prompts. That said, I think we'll start to see some. I think we will have some know-it-alls that want to know how we're using AI and request our AI stuff. So if you don't feel comfortable putting it in and having that be public, don't put it in. I would err on the side of caution with that and be more vigilant about what information you're giving AI versus being willy-nilly and giving everything. In addition, once you put in information into AI, you're not pulling that information back. So if you're in a closed door meeting, or if you want an RFP that's to stay very silent before you publish it, don't put that information in AI, because then it can start pulling that information for other people that are asking the similar type of things. Okay. So be aware of that. Another thing you'll need to know and be able to share with your agency is where your information is stored. I pulled this from that question box in the help and FAQs, but it talks about where my information is shared and where my information is stored. The funny thing with this is we share our content with select group of trusted service providers. And then we store our information with a trusted service provider. And I don't know if you're like me, or like every procurement agent, but when I see the word trusted service provider, I automatically think like, I'm not trusting that system. Like there's nothing is so secure that it can't be hacked or changed. So if you don't feel confident with the information you're giving it, or it should be stay silent, make sure you're not putting it in AI. And that is just my little warning message there for you. Let's talk about copyright and AI. We're going to see a lot more about this coming up. There's, I think New York sued AI. I think we'll see some changes. Like back in the day, compare ChatGPT to Napster if you were back in that day, in that era, which was the best era. But Napster was awesome, and now we don't have it because of the copyright laws. Now we have like Spotify's and the Sirius Radio, where you're paying for content because you've got permission from users. I think we'll see that in the future. But be aware of the information that you're getting. This is directly from the same source, the question mark, but will OpenAI claim copyright over what outputs are generated, and they will not claim a copyright. And then your output that you receive, if you use it, the output, you own the output that you create in ChatGPT. So that information becomes yours. Sorry, my nose is running, but here's another warning. There's been no court cases on any of this. Nothing has been tested yet. So again, be cautious when you're using it, but I guess just be cautious. And then make sure you're reading the responses. I think I've met all that stuff. So another just quick reminder is building trust but verify. AI is getting better and better, but there's a catch. The same advantages capable to make AI models so useful also increase risk. And there's my light again. I'm just going to do this in the dark. Okay. So the key focus is monitor and review the prompts outputs regularly to ensure you're not experimenting prompt drift or unexpected behavior. So make sure to review it. Don't just cut and paste. We've all seen those, the news articles about the two attorneys that used case studies, but they were completely hallucinated, and now they were like kicked out. Don't be in that same boat as an AI or as a procurement professional. And then go to your, I'm almost done. Go to your government agencies, your bigwigs, your attorney's office, your IT office, and ask them, be proactive about creating a policy so you can utilize these resources. But here's just a recommendation for AI policies is create clear guidelines, put in there what data you can use. So you're not going to use anything PPI, but you're going to be using public meetings or public information that you can share, and then some ethical considerations as well. And if you want to take a screenshot of that, that would be perfectly fine. But be proactive. Attend trainings that talk about AI. I'll talk a little bit about newsletters that you can follow that have a lot of AI information. And the thing with AI is AI changes every day. And there'll be one day I'm like, yeah, I understand this. And the next day I'll get a bunch of emails. I'm like, crap, what is happening? I feel like I'm falling behind. So stay engaged with the things that are changing. Another thing is you want to upskill your team so that the AI augmentation or augments what they do, not replace them. And then ensure that there is quality information and you're just not putting out noise. And then put up guardrails to protect your company as well. Now, I am going to briefly talk about this, but this is things that I've used AI for: writing reference letters, bidding assistance, analyzing numbers on spreadsheets, writing career goals. If you need a SMART goal for 2024, have it help write that. Oh, let me get over here. And then optimizing your resume. If you want to put your resume in an AI, improve communication, write script, write programming, create marketing content for a job opening. It's always great to have and utilize. And I can't present AI without talking about other AI, like AIs. We've talked specifically about ChatGPT, which is free. There's also ChatGPT 4, which is $20 per month. It has a voice stimulator and does a good job acting out negotiations. We'll talk about that in a minute. I use Claude too. Sometimes I will put the prompt in both places and figure out which one I like best, or combine the prompts better. Claude 2 is a little bit more professional sounding. AI gives you the bells and whistles, or ChatGPT gives you the bells and whistles. And Claude 2 was created back, well, let me start this over. ChatGPT was created with like 10 people that were writing the code. 5 of them had a disagreement, broke off, and they created Claude 2. And so now we have these two companies. They have the basic theory down the same, but their approach is a little bit differently. Perplexity, AI is a great tool. I have a video about that I could share later, but you could ask it to write a procurement manual with references, and it will actually reference things. And you can say, make this Washington State Pacific, and we'll reference other Washington State procurement manuals. And then Julius AI is new, but it's a presentation one. I've tried that a couple of times, and it writes out a great presentation for you. And then Gemini hasn't been released yet, but they're the new kid on the block, and I think they're going to be one that we're going to want to watch for. And then just a quick example, I use Claude 2. So a couple months ago, I needed to go and use my, change my procurement code on our procurement matrix. So we had people complaining that our thresholds weren't high enough. And so I took all of the city codes that changed procurement, and I put them into Claude 2 and said, hey, summarize the main changes that happened to procurement here. And it wrote me this little synopsis. I cut and paste it. I verified that the information was correct, cut and paste it, put it in my presentation, and it was off and running. I also had AI write me a script for this request, this change request, and the goals of the change request. And this is all on Insight purchasing issues. I shared my whole presentation, my PowerPoint, and explained how I got to this point using AI. Oh, is this blurry? Oh, it's a little bit blurry, sorry. So use that if you have to go before council. Here's Gemini. They talk about beating ChatGPT in 30 out of the 32 categories. All of the AI companies that come out, though, say that they've beat ChatGPT, but they go back and forth. They're always testing each other. But it's fascinating to see what's happening. And then I briefly wanted to hit on this ChatGPT 4. If you have the voice feature, you can run it through a negotiation. So if you have something you're negotiating for your city, you can go and run through and have a conversation with ChatGPT, and then it will give you feedback, and it will give you a grade, whether you got a B plus, your strengths, some of your weaknesses, and you can really fine tune that negotiation skill set that you have, and be more prepared for those types of conversations. Advice for non-technical people is again, play around with it, analyze it, and then learn from it. So you're constantly putting information out there. And then just my final reminders, AI is not foolproof. It needs human oversight and to start with low risk applications. Start with something you've already done and compare it, like put that information in there and then compare who does it better. I write minutes for city council and I did my whole minutes. It took me hours. I put the conversation into ChatGPT and it did it in like 30 seconds and it was way better. So I've learned from it. Like I learned how to write better city minutes from it. So it helps. I will give you a little warning, just saying, when you use AI, you think like the first time you use it, like this is amazing. And then the next moment, like you have this overwhelming feeling like, holy crap, my job is at risk. Like, how do I stay relevant? I don't think it's going to replace you, but I do think you need to know how to use it. You are going to be competing with people that know how to use AI. And if they can produce the same responses or results as you, then you need to be at their level as well. And then we're going to start seeing our soft skills become more focused for what we have. We're now experts. If we use AI, we're now experts in almost everything. So we need to know about ethics and being adaptable and being a continuous learner and having those critical and analytical skills to make sure our responses are appropriate in everything that we're doing using AI. Okay, and this is my second to last slide. So, what's SME? I don't know what that means.
Subject matter expert.
Oh, I would still go to the human for a subject matter expert, but I would use both actually. I'm not sure, but the last thing is you do want to stay aware of the information that's out there, and these are some great resources that I follow. I wouldn't recommend using them all, especially if you don't get any AI newsletters to begin with, but the AI Exchange is excellent. Superhuman is also excellent. Micah, and I don't know how to say his last name, but he is on LinkedIn. He creates a monthly get together for government agency professionals to get together and share how they're using and integrating AI into their agencies. And I think I'm presenting on Monday. The next meeting's Monday at like noon. And I'm going to share like a 15-minute recap of how I've been using it. But he's great to follow. He puts a lot of content out there in YouTube and on LinkedIn. I would highly recommend following him. And then Mindstream as well is a great content. So with that, I know I went a little bit long, but let me catch up on the chat. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything.
I think there was just one question that that you didn't already see. Maybe it's just has there been any discussion on how procurement should handle proposal evaluations when vendors use AI to write their responses?
So that's the question, like that's what we're discussing right now, like with some other people, is do we need to put a clause in our RFP saying if you've used AI to respond to this, disclose that, or do we just let them go about their business and assume that if they put a proposal in, they are expert prompt engineers and can write a response back that they can fulfill? There's no right or wrong question yet, but I do think AI gives an opportunity for people that don't have I think it gives the mom and pop shops that don't have those professional writers and researchers an opportunity to stay relevant and maybe grow their business. I'll say that. But when you're writing your contracts, make sure that they can fulfill what they're putting in there. But also, like, I think we need to have a thorough discussion on saying, do we request that they disclose the information if they've used AI to respond to some of these questions? There's no right or wrong question, like, way. And AI disclosure, I will say, is hard. Like, it's an easy concept, but it's really hard to do because I use AI almost every day, but I'm not disclosing, hey, like, I had AI write out $100,000,000 in Word format for me because I'm too lazy to write it out to put it in a contract. Like, um, so the question then becomes, do we have providers say they haven't used AI and assume everyone else is using AI? That's another theory that's being thrown out there right now.
Yeah. And I think, Brooke, just to follow up on that, it's on the flip side, once you have your consultants on board, and they're giving you a study or something that they've done for you, having them disclose that if they've had, if some of their research contained AI or any of that. So I think
Yep.
there's a lot of discussions in the next year,
Yep.
well, probably the foreseeable future, on how we handle this. It's kind of changed the way we do
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like back when Google was first taking off, like we had these same conversations, and now we know people are using Google to do research. Like, I think we'll get to a similar point where we're comfortable enough that we know everyone's using it, that
Mhm.
and you'll start to recognize it too. The more you notice it or like use it, you'll start to see AI influences
Yeah.
in emails that you get, in responses that you get, and you're like, oh yeah, that's AI generated.
Yeah.
They're still beginning this out. So
Well, and it sounds so much more formal when we use it here. I caution everybody who uses it. I say it's great to get the thoughts across and
yeah.
put the words together, especially if you're responding to something, but make sure it's in your voice.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why, like I said, my RFP for the Christmas tree plaza, it was not in my voice. And like it's embarrassing now to even think about it, but I had to use it to get through and make sure we hit those deadlines. So just practice with it. You don't have to use what it's generating, but you can see what it's capable of.
Well, I know that we're past the hour and then we have a few folks that have to jump to another meeting, but thank you so, so much, Brooke.
Yeah. Thank you.
Folks, I know, so I think the session that Brooke talked about on the 24th is, what was it, $90? Registration, it's virtual. I think it's $89 or $79 or something to
79.
that effect. So yeah, and it's a 3 to 4 hour class. So if this is something that piqued your interest, I would hop over to the NIGP website and definitely register for that. And we appreciate everyone coming. Such great participation. And Brooke, thank you for getting us kicked off. And for the rest of you, Brooke may be back at a future date.